So the Philadelphia Eagles offense has largely been a big disappointment so far this year, but even with all the very clear problems they have, the Birds are still possibly just one pretty easy adjustment away from fixing the offense entirely, as changing this one thing could be the key to the Eagles offense starting faster and to Jalen Hurts cutting down on the turnovers and playing at a much higher level. So what are the chances of the Birds making this change and saving the offense? Meanwhile, some recent numbers have pretty much proved that Nick Sirianni is clearly one of the main causes of the Eagles offensive struggles, while rookie Quinyon Mitchell wanted all the smoke with Mike Evans. So we're going to talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And despite all the concerns and question marks and very real issues surrounding this team through 4 weeks, they still do have a ton of time left in the season to get things right. Like I said, we are just 4 games into the season. There's still 13 games left to go, and the Eagles are a very talented football team that is set to get some key star players back from injury coming off the bye. And also, when they get off the bye, they have a very favorable stretch of games ahead of them, as not only do they have 4 opponents in a row coming up that are all below 500 in the Browns, the Giants, the Bengals, and the Jaguars, but they also just have overall the easiest strength of schedule remaining in the entire NFL. So again, even with all the problems and concerns that are very real, this team still has everything they want in front of them, and they have the easiest possible path to turning things around. So drop a like down below for that. And for head coach Nick Sirianni, this is it. This in my mind is his last chance to turn things around for not just the Eagles team as a whole, but for himself. Ever since the end of the 2022 season and Shane Steichen's departure, things have been downhill for Sirianni and the Eagles offense and just team in general, to the point where they now have the 3rd longest active streak in the NFL without beating a team by 3 or more possessions at 23 games. And the Birds also have, of course, lost 8 of their last 11 games, so to save his job and ensure himself another year as the Eagles head coach, Sirianni is going to have to turn things around and turn them around fast. But at this point, I think it's safe to say that things are looking pretty bleak for the 4th-year head coach. Because in just 4 games this year, Sirianni has both hurt the Eagles with his decision-making in terms of game management, and he has also seemingly held the offense back. And that second thing there is really, really alarming, considering that the original plan coming into the season was to give new offensive coordinator Kellen Moore full control over the offense while Sirianni took a step back. But based on the product we've seen out on the field, that isn't exactly what has happened, as despite Kellen Moore's offenses consistently being ranked towards the top of the league in pre-snap motion, the Eagles currently rank just 19th in that area through 4 games, and they've been bottom 5 for the past 3 weeks, while in week 1, which was their most successful game offensively, they were top 10 in motion. Now, that game was their only game with A.J. Brown, so you could question whether the fall off in that area could be due to the limited personnel they've had. But that's not the only thing that suggests that Sirianni has more control over the offense than we initially thought, as the Eagles also rank 30th in the NFL in both plays under center at 23 and play action passes with just 6 on the year, which are both shockingly low numbers. And on top of that, the routes the receivers were running in week 4 specifically were very, very reminiscent of the predictable and uncreative route trees we saw the Eagles receivers running last year. Look at Dallas Goedert, for example, who in week 4 was pretty much running all his routes to the outside with really nothing going over the middle of the field, despite that just the week before, he was used very differently, running both short and deep routes in the middle of the field while doing other things as well, and he had a career day because of it. So that to me is just a crazy shift in strategy from week to week, and also one that makes no sense, and I honestly think the only 2 real explanations are that either this has to do with the Eagles dealing with injuries and the offense will look more Kellen Moore-esque when the main guys return, kind of like it did in week 1, or Nick Sirianni is simply inserting himself and still trying to run his style of offense. And while of course this is just all speculation because I don't have any inside knowledge or anything like that, all the evidence certainly points to Nick Sirianni having more control over the offense than we initially would have hoped. And if that's the case, I think Nick just needs to take a little bit of his own advice in that he's going to have to check his ego and just let Kellen Moore take control of this offense while he leans more into leadership and building the connection within that locker room. That's the very best chance he has of turning this thing around and saving his job at the end of the day. Otherwise, we definitely are going to see a new face as the Philadelphia Eagles head coach next season, and it's definitely already trending in that direction. So again, Nick has got to turn things around and turn them around fast. But staying with the offense and the strategy on that side of the ball, I think there is no question that one of the things they have to place an emphasis on moving forward is just getting Saquon Barkley the ball, specifically in the run game early and often. Last week, it was honestly just crazy how little Nick Sirianni, Kellen Moore, and the Eagles coaches used Saquon Barkley, as despite him being the NFL's leading rusher coming into the game and not having A.J. Brown or Avonte Smith, Barkley only touched the ball 12 times, and in the Birds' first 3 drives, that were all 3 and outs by the way, Barkley only ran the ball twice, and neither were on first down. And to me, the decision to not rely on Barkley heavily, especially early in a game where you're down your top 2 weapons and your best offensive lineman, just makes absolutely zero sense from a coaching standpoint. And PFN's Anthony DeBonis said a similar thing, tweeting out, quote, "With no A.J. Brown, Avonte Smith, or Lane Johnson, it felt like the offensive game plan for the Eagles in Week 4 was obvious. Feed Saquon Barkley." Yet he had just 12 touches despite gaining 116 yards, 9.6 yards per touch. The rest of the entire Eagles offense had 26 touches for 155 yards, 5.9 yards per touch. I don't care who you want to blame between Nick Sirianni or Kellen Moore. Either way, Barkley only having 12 total touches is coaching malpractice. So yeah, it's no secret that the Birds just gotta find a way to get Barkley much more involved. And I think that's especially important early in the game, as he could be the key to getting the offense into a rhythm quickly. I mean, it's clear that one of the Birds' biggest struggles this season has been their slow starts on offense, but if they lean more on Barkley running the ball early, they could consistently get themselves into more advantageous second and manageable or third and short situations rather than being behind the chains and forcing Jalen Hurts to pick up big chunks through the air. And we also know that when the run game gets going, everything else gets going as well. I mean, we've seen it this season where the Eagles offense is struggling and then Barkley breaks off a couple solid runs and then Hurts and the rest of the group start to get into a rhythm. So overall, I just think leaning more on Saquon Barkley and into the run game would greatly benefit the Eagles offense and help them get off to much faster starts. And it also seemingly would really help Jalen Hurts cut down on his turnovers. And don't worry, we're going to get into that in a little bit more in just a minute here, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this coming throughout the rest of the season, then make sure you subscribe and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us, because not only do I get more people consistently watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this. So again, subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like. We'll see if we can get to 700 likes on this video. And now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So as I was saying, obviously one of the Eagles' other big issues this year, and really last year too, has been Jalen Hurts turning the football over far too much. Since the start of last season, Hurts leads the NFL in turnovers, and he has a turnover in each of his last 9 games, which leads the NFL. So that's certainly not exactly what you want to see from your franchise quarterback. And just in general, I mean, Hurts isn't really playing the style of football that we had all hoped to see from him coming into the year. I mean, in training camp, a lot had been made about how Hurts seemed to have taken a step in his game and was processing things super quickly and getting the ball out of his hands really fast, while also not turning the ball over. But here we are now in the season, and things have been the exact opposite of that, as not only has Hurts turned the ball over a ton, but he is also last among starting QBs in average time to throw at 3.1 seconds, indicating that he's holding onto the ball for a very long time. Now, there's multiple reasons for this, whether it be the coaching and game planning to just not have as many of those short routes across the middle at times, specifically this past week against the Bucs, which, by the way, struggled defensively against the Falcons last night, who attacked them over the middle, and of course, also not having A.J. Brown and Avonte Smith really hurts, but Hurts struggles also really do have to do with the fact that the Eagles have constantly been playing from behind and have been behind the sticks a lot. So, theoretically, once the Eagles get Jalen's favorite and most trusted targets back in A.J. Avonte, and if the Eagles coaches make some adjustments, and also if they could find a way to get themselves into more manageable second and third down situations, that could definitely help Jalen cut down on some of those turnovers. And that's pretty much exactly what ESPN's Tim McManus laid out recently, as he said, quote, "Hurts threw just 1 interception during training camp this summer, while he was mostly playing what he calls point guard, getting the ball out of his hands quickly with short rhythm throws to his playmakers. It has been a different story through 4 games, as Hurts' average time before throws of 3.1 seconds ranks 32nd among all quarterbacks. He has 5 fumbles, 3 lost, and 4 interceptions over 4 games. The one constant in this offense has been running back Saquon Barkley, who ranks 3rd in rushing yards, 435, and is averaging 6 yards per carry. Leaning into the ground game and putting Hurts in more favorable second and third down situations will help keep the turnovers to a minimum." And I definitely do agree with this, as, like I said earlier, when Saquon Barkley and the run game get going, that translates to the Eagles offense getting into a much better rhythm quickly. And I think Jalen specifically starts to feel more comfortable as things kind of open up in the passing game, and he starts to play more free and just process things faster as well. So again, I think if the Eagles can get the run game going and stay ahead of the sticks, that could be the key to helping Jalen get into a rhythm and process at a faster rate while also not turning the ball over. And then theoretically, their offensive issues should pretty much be resolved. But of course, for that to happen, Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore are going to have to make some adjustments to the way that they're doing things, which hopefully they've done in the bye week. And again, I think Nick really just needs to let Kellen Moore fully run the show on offense. But to sum it all up, I think the big takeaway regarding the Eagles offense is that they have the talent to be really good and all their issues are fixable. It's just a matter of whether they can actually do it or not. So we'll see coming off the bye week how they look versus the Browns with everyone back healthy, and I think that game will really tell us a lot about how the rest of the season could go. Moving on from that though, and switching over to the Birds defense, it's clear that they have a lot of issues as well, and many Eagles fans seem to think that the mentality of some of the players is an issue, as the Bucs recently dropped a video of star receiver Mike Evans mic'd up during their game against the Eagles, and he had varying interactions caught on camera with some of the Eagles DBs, and one in particular involving Eagles slot cornerback Avonte Maddox had Philly fans pretty annoyed.
Yeah. You gotta get out there one more time. I still play, bro. I got you on Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean, I do completely understand why some people are upset with this. I mean, the Eagles are getting absolutely destroyed in this game, and the defense is getting absolutely shredded, so you would think Maddox would be kind of pissed and locked in and focused on what's actually happening in the game rather than playing video games with Mike Evans, so this was certainly interesting and not the best look for Maddox. That being said, though, I do think there is a little bit of a chance that people are maybe overreacting to it a little bit, as I'm sure interactions like this between players happen all the time, every single week throughout the entire league, especially if the guys know each other. But again, I definitely do understand why there is so much backlash given the situation Maddox and the Eagles defense was in that moment, with them getting blown out the way they were. And I definitely liked what the rookie Quinyon Mitchell said to Mike Evans way more.
You easy. I've been on you all day, bro. You easy. Huh? You easy as to get over. I've been on you all day, cuz. How many catches you got? You got one catch, you got a bid. That's it. All right. You know who I am, right? You know who I am, right? No, I do not. No. I don't. I'm a rookie. You're a rookie, right? Yeah, that means you got more juice. You should have the most juice out here. We 31.
You gotta love the attitude from Q. I mean, this is what we need on the defensive side of the ball. We just need that toughness, that confidence, and that dog mentality to play hard every single play and not back down. And that's exactly what Q did in this game, as he really locked down Evans when he was matched up against him, allowing just 2 catches for 19 yards on 4 targets, while also getting a pass breakup in the end zone on him. And he also fired back at Evans' trash talk in that clip, which, by the way, what Evans said was untrue based on the numbers. So it's at least nice to see that the Eagles got a dog at the cornerback position in Quinyon Mitchell, who is already on track to becoming a really good player. And of course, I'm going to be continuing to cover Quinyon Mitchell as well as the rest of the Philadelphia Eagles and all the news surrounding them throughout the rest of this entire season. So again, if you don't want to miss any of that, then make sure you subscribe and also turn on notifications. And also just drop a like down below to help show some support. That really does help me out a ton, guys. So again, hit the like button. Let's see if we can get to 700 likes today. And also leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. And if you want to watch another video going over some news from earlier in the week, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.